Hi, and welcome back to C1Risk training. Today we're going to be working in the enterprise module again, and we're looking at assets and how we connect internal controls to your assets so that we can do compliance at the asset level, so asset-based compliance. Okay, so just as a refresher on how the system is set up, as you know, we have this asset inventory here, and what we like to encourage our customers to do, even if the company is your only asset or your product is your only asset, is for you to bring in the assets that are in scope for risk management into this asset inventory. And then what we're going to do is associate the risk from your risk register to those specific assets. And then in doing so, what you're also going to be able to do is attach internal controls. The internal controls are actually attached through the risk register. So as you build out your internal controls, you're going to associate them to the relevant risks. The basis of this is that if you don't have a risk, then why do you have a control in place? So again, if you don't have a building, you don't have any physical security risks, and therefore you don't need physical security controls. So we've set the system up this way actually to really help make your compliance more efficient. And as you look at building out your control set, really what you want to be thinking about is, do I actually need this control? Do I have a risk that needs controlling? And unless I'm working with a requirement or regulation that requires that I implement all of its different framework or the entirety of its framework, can I actually say, well, this isn't applicable to me, and so I'm not going to implement this control? Okay. So as I mentioned before, here we are in the, I'm in an asset record and I'm looking at my summary tab where I can see the data that I've already got related to my asset. So you see I've got 6 risks here, and then I've got a control strength of 80. And so based upon these 6 risks that I've brought in, these internal controls are the controls that I have associated to those risks. And so they're automatically pulled in as I add more risk registers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go to my risk register tab. I'm still in my asset. I'm not in the actual, the global risk register here. This is just pertaining to this specific asset. And I'm going to pull in another risk. So I can either add a new one and then add controls, but I'm just going to look one up here. I'm going to bring in this governance risk and associate it to this asset. Now you see now it's being added. You see it in the risk register here. And so let's just go back to the summary for a second. And I'm going to refresh. Now you see I've got a total of 7 risks. My score is updated and my control strength is updated. And that's because I've actually got another set of internal controls that's been added here. So now you see, if you saw before there were 4 internal controls, now there's, I think there's 9. So yeah, we've got 9. And based upon these control strengths that I've added to the internal controls, that's how we get that summary number there. So again, that's how we actually add controls to the assets. We don't want to add them independently without a risk, because again, if you don't have a risk, why do you have a control? So we create the internal controls here in our compliance tab. And then as we create them, we are going to associate these controls, or you have the option to associate these controls to a risk register. And then as you pull that risk register into the asset, that's how you're going to actually connect your internal controls. Okay, so that concludes our training for today. Thank you very much.